Hello, everyone. My name is Sarafi, and I'm happy to meet you all. Today, I'm sitting down once again with one of my colleagues, the Galaxy Eyes Guru, or Goldmine, and we will be discussing a fun topic, which is cards that we expect will be coming to Rush Duels in the near future. Um, Gold, thank you very much for joining me.
Hello, everybody.
So, Gold, how have you been enjoying Rush Duels so far?
I've been really enjoying this so far. I really like before I didn't think I was gonna really enjoy it, but now I started to enjoy it a bit more.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So now that we have this King of Duels grind and everyone is hopping into play ranked, and we have a brand new character with a brand new deck and brand new skills, and everything's going crazy. They didn't even let the meta settle before they really threw a new wrench into the whole thing. Um, Now let's talk about what could change because the as good as the box is, and I do think the box is worth going through 3 times and getting every card in the box 3 times. But as good as this box is, there are a lot of opportunities for expansion. And we are going to have to deal with basically no new rush cards for the entire month of October, other than the cards that we got just now. So we got the new Mimi cards, which is probably going to make an impact on the meta. And then we're also getting Harpy Lady, which is just a normal monster. So as cool as Harpy Lady is, I don't think she's going to change too much. It'll be a nice buff to the Winged Beast like Condor deck because it's another card that you can play in that deck. But um, by herself, Harpy Lady is not going to make any waves. Although it is nice that we're getting it for free. Um, with that in mind, November's box is where things are going to kind of be make or break. We need to kind of break up this aggro format just a little bit if we're going to hope to have a situation where we have more back and forth besides just I drew a level 7, I'm going to beat over your level 7, which, I mean, admittedly, that part is fun. I don't have a problem with it, but I think it's going to get really old really fast if we don't have more interaction, especially since we have a skill that lets us use Hammer Crush. We should have more back row. Now, it doesn't have to be like as dominant as it is in speed duels, but we need some cards that we can play.
I definitely do agree with that.
Okay.
Uh,
All right, so let's kind of, if you don't mind, I have an idea for how we can do this. Like, you'll go first, kind of suggest like 1 or 2 cards that you think might come, talk about their impact, and then I'll go, and we'll kind of bounce off each other. Does that sound good?
that sounds good. And I
Great.
think the first thing I want to do is start off with the traps. Like since you said start with traps, I think I also want to start with traps. I don't have any for Roman right now because I think she's personally good on traps. What she needs really more is more support.
Hmm.
But for now, the main three I want to get to is Yuga, Luke, and Gavin. And I have picked out 2 tracks for each character.
Okay. Well, why don't we start with Gavin? That's the character that you like the most. What trap cards are you excited for Gavin to get from his deck?
Now, I didn't want to pick something too broken, so here's what I'm starting with for my first track for Gavin. It's, it's called Brotherhood, which is when your opponent draws for their normal draw in their draw phase, pay 1,000 life points, change up to 2 attack position monsters on your field to face a defense position. Then, if you have 3 defense position monsters, you can shuffle up to 5 monsters in your opponent's graveyard into the deck.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. So you have to pay 1,000 life points, which is a pretty steep cost when we only have 6,000. But moving your monsters to defense position is definitely a good way to try and protect your life points. So
Yes.
as long as you would have taken 1,000 damage during the turn, it's definitely worth it. And then the opportunity to shuffle up to 5 monsters in your opponent's graveyard into the deck is also very valuable, especially for against if you're going against like dragons. Um, because they might, in response to you having 3 defense position monsters, they might want to play Dragonic Pressure. So by returning all their level 4s to their deck, then they don't necessarily have a good target to special summon from their graveyard.
Yes.
Also, I can see where you're coming from. This card, since it wants you to have three defense position monsters, you're going to have one defense position monster already. That defense position monster is probably going to be Yami Ruler, the Dark Delayer. Um, yeah, okay.
Yes.
This seems really good.
And for my second trap for Gavin,
Mhm.
I chose Lucky Massive Omens.
Let's see. Lucky Mask of Omens. All right. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, one face-up warrior monster on your field gains attack equal to its level times 100 until the end of the turn. Oh, it doesn't have to be the attack target either. That is an interesting card. Okay.
I wanted to give every character like a similar card to Roman where it increases the attack or reduces.
Mhm.
And I think this fits the bill. Because when your opponent attacks, like if they try to attack into your Yami ruler with like Dragius, you can increase your attack.
Yeah, Yami Ruler's attack will go up to 3,300. That's pretty significant. Yeah, this card definitely rewards Kime Ruler and Yami Ruler for being level 8 monsters. 800 attack points is very significant, especially because it allows you to beat Diane Keto with the Disco Fever skill, since she only goes up to 3,200. Um, yeah, this seems like it'd be a great card. I bet this card is definitely going to be in the November box. It seems like exactly the card that Gavin needs, and Gavin isn't very good right now. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think I should move on to Yuga next.
Oh, if you don't mind, I was going to take my turn.
Oh, sure, sure. Go ahead.
All right. So, so now that you've talked about two cards that you're interested in, let's talk about two cards that I'm interested in. And I'll stay with Gavin so that so I don't take any of your cards. Um, so one of the cards that I'm most interested in seeing for Gavin is Semi Ruler, the Dark Summoner. Um,
Interesting.
so
I
Semi
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
So Semi Ruler the Dark Summoner is a level 8 Dark Warrior monster, and as a requirement to activate its effect, you send one card from your hand to the graveyard. So rather than sending a card from the top of your deck to the graveyard, it does require discard. That is a heavy cost for most decks, and allows you to special summon a monster with 0 attack from your hand face up to your field. Then that monster gains attack equal to its original defense until the end of this turn. So, for example, if you summon Ancient Turtle Protector, then Ancient Turtle Protector goes up to 1,400 attack points. If you summon the Hermit card, Urashima the Hermit, it goes up to 2,000. And then there's another, in particular, monster that I would expect to see with Semi Ruler, which is. Um, what is her name? I do not remember what her name is. Hold on.
Yami Luna.
It's not Yami Luna, because Yami Luna doesn't have 0 attack points. Um,
Oh, it's Kime Luna.
Kime Luna, thank you. Yes, Kime Luna, the Dark Shifter. Level 8 warrior, 0 attack, 2,500 defense. Change the battle positions of up to 2 face-up monsters on your opponent's field. Then, if you change the battle position of a card by this effect, you can change the battle position of one face-up monster on your field. So Kime Luna allows you to change the battle positions of up to 2 of your opponent's monsters, and then of course she also has the effect to change Yami Ruler to attack position if you needed to. Or she can change herself to defense position if you don't have summon her from Semi Ruler, and you can put her to defense so that she doesn't cost you any life points. Um, but really, this card is supposed to be combined with Semi Ruler, and if you have Kime Luna and Semi Ruler, then you could easily have two 2,500 attack point monsters that are both warriors on your field for just 2 tributes and a card from your hand. Which is, that is all 5 cards. 2 tributes, Semi Ruler is the third card from your hand as the cost, that's the fourth card, Kime Luna is the fifth card. So that seems like a fair amount of power. Um, and when you consider that we've already gotten some support cards for Kime Ruler, I do think that Semi Ruler and Kime Luna are the next cards to come. And I think that most importantly, if we want Gavin to succeed, he needs more high level warrior monsters.
Originally, I wasn't gonna pick anything like Kime Luna or like Sim or related to Yami Luna, but after hearing your explanations, I do agree that would definitely give me the boost I need.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm trying to stay off back row so that you could focus on back row because I know that you're prepared for that. So these are some cards that I think could improve Gavin's offense, and especially they would be supported by the addition of the Lucky Mask of Omen because both those monsters would be level 8.
Yeah.
Although Kime Luna, Kime Luna gaining 800 attack points during the opponent's turn doesn't really help her that much, but Semi Ruler does. Okay. All right. So it is now your turn again. You said that you wanted to talk about Yuga's back row. Go ahead.
Now I'm pretty sure everyone knows what this track card is, but I feel like we need to get this out the way. We need to get Dark Revelation
You want Dark Revelation already? Okay.
because I feel like that would push more people to use back row removal.
Okay. So Dark Revelation. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, shuffle 4 spellcaster type monsters from your graveyard into the deck. Then you can destroy all attack position monsters on your opponent's field. So this does require you to have 4 spellcasters in your graveyard, um, which is quite a few, but we did get Excel Wonder Splat a lot faster than I was expecting. So Expel Wonder Splat does let you mill faster than Dark Revelation, than the Spellcaster deck could have when Dark Revelation first came out. Um, but if you are running Dark Revelation, you probably aren't going to be as eager to play Recovery Force because you want to keep spellcasters in your graveyard rather than shuffle them back. Um, I feel like Dark Revelation is a card that they could probably release, but it would probably be set as a limit 1 card,
Maybe.
at least for right now. Still,
Yep.
a limit 1 card, even in a 30 card deck, it would still give you quite a bit of power to try and destroy all of your opponent's attack position monsters. Mirror Force, by the way, is a Rush Duel card, but it is a Legend Trap. So if we got Mirror Force, it would be hard limited to 1, and then we couldn't run any Legend Traps along with it. Dark Revelation could be run in the same deck as Mirror Force, even if they were both limited to 1, but I don't think we'll be getting Mirror Force for a significant period of time.
That is true.
Um, Dark
Because I was
Revelation.
looking. Oh, sorry.
No, no,
Continue.
no, no. It's your time to talk. Go ahead.
Because I was looking at all his traps for the voice lines he has, like between Seventh Row Protection and Dark Revelation. I think that this is more fine compared to Dark Road Protection because Dark Road Protection makes your all face up dark attribute spellcaster types on your field cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects this turn. And if you have 7 Magician in your graveyard, you can change that opponent's normal summon monsters to face up the fence.
Yes, and I don't imagine that we'll get a card like that until we have more card destruction
Yeah,
effects. Um, so yes, it is more likely that we get another battle trap like Dark Revelation. Um, they did release Dark Revelation relatively early in the original game, but I think this is a card that everyone's kind of scared of. Um, we'll have to see. I don't know of too many other traps that Yuga could potentially get, and if they want the 7-0 deck to succeed, giving us this card may help. Um, but it still seems quite powerful to put into a format at the same rarity as a card like the Rice card that just switches a monster to defense position.
fair, fair.
All right.
Now there's a second card I got
Yeah.
for
What is that?
Yuga. Current of Sparks.
Okay.
When your opponent monster declares to attack and you have a spellcaster in your graveyard, the attacking monster loses 500 attack points until the end of this turn.
Yes. So you have to have a spellcaster, but unlike the other cards, you don't have to shuffle it back into your deck. But as long as you have at least one spellcaster in your graveyard, then the attacking monster loses 500 attack until the end of this turn. This is in particular a card that supports dragon casters because unlike the Severing Psychic Wall, the attack target does not need to be a spellcaster type monster. So as long as you have a spellcaster in your graveyard, any monster can gain attack points. If that's Yami Ruler, or your opponent's monster loses attack points. So if that's Yami Ruler, if it's Summon Skull, if it's Multi-Strike Dragon Dragius, the opponent's monster loses 500 attack points, and you are most likely going to win that battle. This card is very similar to Phantom Bind, but it allows you. It has less play around than Phantom Bind. But I think the problem with Phantom Bind is that Phantom Bind is too easy to play around. We're seeing
Yeah,
decks that are designed to just circumvent Phantom Bind entirely by playing uh, low-level monsters that are separate types than the high-level monsters. Um, so yes, I would agree with your assessment. Curtain of Sparks is the perfect card for them to add right now to try and punish these decks that focus solely on raw power.
that was my point of picking all these cards. Like, I felt like if I give decks enough choices to where it punches down just monster mash, I feel like it would make like it would give more, well, not necessarily more punishment, but it make people less inclined to play monster mash rather than specific archetypes that can play counters to those monster mash decks.
Yes, absolutely. And for example, if we have more back row, then someone who wants to play dragons rather than playing a card like Sevens or a Magician may be more inclined to play a card like Dragonic Slayer, which requires specifically a level 7 dragon to destroy a spell or trap. And that would kind of homogenize that deck to where they're playing Dragonic Resonance and they're playing a bunch of dragons, and the deck might be better, but at least it's not the ridiculous monster bash that's kind of more frustrating to people because really uh, it's kind of like a feels situation where you just kind of feel bad to losing to just the generic best level sevens as opposed to, oh, this guy's playing a deck that synergizes with his skill and he has, all of his monsters are the same type. And if we get into a situation where people are more likely to play cards where they're the same type, like to get around Curtain of Sparks, for example, then Phantom Bind becomes better. And then if you have Curtain of Sparks and Phantom Bind, you have a better chance against this dragon deck that is set up to counter your Curtain of Sparks. So there's a back and forth here. And if Phantom Bind becomes too relevant, well, then people go back to the Monster Mash. And then it's a question of if Curtain of Sparks is enough for the Monster Mash. If it is, they bring him back to Dragons, and then you put Phantom Bind back in, and it's a cycle. Um, but that's what a meta should be.
Yes, yes, and that's why I like Mimi's release. Like it really gave what a Rush Duel deck should be. It has a lot of power, but it plays its own archetype.
Hmm. That's
It
right.
plays Aquas.
And and because it plays Aquas, I played Mimi's deck last night against Gold and several other people, and I was on a tear. But I lost one game, and the one game that I lost out of the 9 games that I played was because of Phantom Bind. So, which only affected me because all of my monsters were Aqua types. So, yeah, that is a I think a good change for the game moving forward. We need other skills to be as powerful as Disco Fever, so that players are more incentivized to play cards of the same type. And we also need more monsters of the type. So we need more spellcasters so that people can play a spellcaster deck that has more benefits. We need more dragons. We need more psychics. We definitely need more psychics. More psychics is probably the biggest one. And then we also need more warriors, which we already talked about. Okay, well, thank you very much for suggesting those 2 cards. I think that Curtain of Sparks is much more likely to come than Dark Revelation, especially right now. But I'm looking forward to both cards being added. So then let's
Oh,
go ahead.
definitely.
Let's go ahead and talk about the cards that I would like to see from Yuga in terms of just monsters. Um, well, um, so one card that I would like to see for Yuga is called Sparkheart's Girl. And Sparkheart's Girl is a level 3 fire spellcaster. By sending one level 4 or lower monster from your hand to the graveyard, one face-up monster on your opponent's field loses 500 attack points until the end of this turn. So basically, you get to cast Curtain of Sparks on your turn. Then you can set one Sparks or Curtain of Sparks from your graveyard in your spawn trap zone. Actually, it's an and/or, so if you have both, you can set both.
I can definitely see how this would be useful. Like it sets up currents and sparks, which goes along with the suggestion I gave.
Hmm. Yep. If we get so, I think the main reason we haven't gotten Sparkheart's Girl yet, even though we have a skill that lets you set Sparks to draw a card, is because we haven't gotten Curtain of Sparks yet. They don't want to release a card that references another card that's not in the game yet. So
Right.
I think that as soon as we get Curtain of Sparks, they're going to release Sparkheart's Girl, and Sparkheart's Girl has several benefits to it. For number one, it's a fire spellcaster monster. It doesn't have 800 defense points, so you can't return it to your hand with the Road Magic Explosion skill. But the more fire spellcasters that we have, the better the Road Magic Explosion deck becomes, because we need cards to discard for the Road Magic Explosion card. And this card is a defensive card for Road Magic Explosion. It allows you to reuse your Curtain of Sparks. And Road Magic Explosion kind of runs into the issue of it not having enough defense to survive. So I think this card is going to make the Road Magic Explosion deck better, especially if we get Curtain of Sparks, and I would want to see both those cards added in the next box. Another monster that I think Yuga definitely needs is, let's see, what's another one of his early monsters? He's got a few. Oh, Ride Across. What am I talking about? All right, so Ride Across is kind of an awkward card. Yuga has used this card a ton, but it doesn't fit the skill restrictions that Yuga has right now. We would probably need to see a new skill added for Yuga when he gets Ride Across, but I'm sure that they're already aware of that. So Yuga has two level 7 warrior monsters, Ride Across Hero of the Dawn and Ride Across Hero of the Dusk, which are spellcaster support warriors, which is very weird. Um, and Ride Across Hero of the Dawn is a level 7 light warrior monster with 2,100 attack points and 1,500 defense points. So it has the same stats as Seven's Robe Magician. Shuffle two spellcaster type monsters from your graveyard into your deck to special summon up to two level 5 or lower spellcaster type monsters from your hand to your field. So, we have infinite normal summons. Special summoning level 4 and below monsters is not beneficial. The only way that you get value out of Ride Across is if you are special summoning exactly 2 level 5s. And there are some level 5s that are designed to work specifically with Ride Across. So, for example, we have Hilt, the Bearer of Noble Arms, which is a level 5 spellcaster with 1,300 attack and 500 defense. And it makes one attack position warrior type monster on your field gain 600 attack until the end of the turn. Then we also have Seath, the Scabbard of Noble Arms, which requires you to place 4 warrior and or spellcaster monsters from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck in any order. To special summon one level 7 warrior type monster from your hand face up to your field. So, for example, if we had um, uh, if we didn't have 2 monsters to sacrifice to summon right across, you could summon Seath, use Seath's effect to special summon right across. Then right across could use its effect to special summon um, Hits, and use Hit's effect to get itself up to 2,700 attack points. So it's a whole deck. It would definitely be completely different than the existing spellcaster deck. Probably wouldn't use too many cards from the existing spellcaster deck, but if we got like a right across themed box, it'd be pretty interesting. And then can't talk about right across without talking about its other form. Um, so right across Hero of the Dusk is a level 7 Dark Warrior, which requires you to special summon 2 warrior and or spellcaster monsters from your graveyard into your deck, and it allows you to special summon one level 6 warrior or spellcaster monster from your hand face up to your field. Um, Not level 6 or below, level 6. So I guess you would probably make Torna with this, which would be fine. Gold.
Yes, I'm here.
Yep. I'm sorry, I went off there for a bit, but it's your chance to react to any of the cards that I talked about and let me know what you think.
Definitely would love right across the hero dust in the game because that would really help my deck also
Oh yeah,
because I could.
I guess yeah. There's nothing saying that you can't play it in just Kimmy Ruler. Fair enough.
Yeah, because I could shuffle 2 warriors from my graveyard to the deck, and then I can special summon a level 6, or well, technically it still has to be level 6, but I can special summon like that.
You can special summon Umegumi, Umegumi, the Ruler Squad, to make your opponent lose 500 attack and defense, or you could special summon Wonder Warrior. Or,
Oh yes,
what is it called?
that's another card I hope for Gavin.
Wondering
But
Warrior.
like that's yeah, yeah.
Oh no, wait, no, no. Wondering Warrior only works when it's normal summoned.
Ah,
That's
well
a
dang. Well, I guess I can't really use it then, but it's fine.
yeah. I mean, you'd still get a 1800 attack monster out for free. It's pretty good.
Yes.
Okay. Um. So then, let's talk about Luke next. So, what trap cards are you hoping to see for Luke?
The first one I'm hoping for is Dragon Fortitude, which works with another monster. When an opponent monster declares an attack, the attacking monster loses attack equal to the level of one dragon type monster in your graveyard times, times 100 until the end of this turn. Then shuffle that monster from your deck into the from your graveyard into the deck.
Okay. So, for example, if we had multi-strike Dragon Dragus in the graveyard, then the attacking monster would lose 700 attack points, and we would get to return Dragus to the deck. Seems like a fairly
Yeah.
good card.
Yes. And it also works with Fortitude Dragon, which you can send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. One face-up monster with 2,000 or more attack from your opponent's field loses 4,000 attack until the end of this turn. Then you set one Dragon's Fortitude from your graveyard into your spell trap zone. So you can recycle it too.
400 attack, not 4,000.
Oh,
Yes. So,
yeah.
so yes, that seems like a Curtain of Sparks, Sparkheart's girl situation for Luke. Ah, Dragon's Fortitude. I've not heard of Fortitude Dragon. Dragon's Fortitude is in the Switch game, but I don't believe Fortitude Dragon is. This is a pretty cool card.
Yes.
Um,
And that's part of why I wanted to give every character like their own version of like the socket wall where they could protect their monsters from attacks.
mhm. Yeah, Severing
But
Psychic Wall seems like a perfect power level for a trap card that we have right now. So yeah, giving it to the other decks seems good. And you did fine. You found one for everybody. So that's impressive.
and for the second one, this is gonna be a bit more powerful, but I would give him Vengeful Dragon's counterattack.
Ooh.
When a dragon monster
I don't know
on
that I
your
agree with that one. Go ahead.
I was looking at all these other cards, but it's either between special summoning to your field or something that's similar to Dragon's Fortitude. But I feel like if you give them this, like it gives enough diversity to the traps.
Mhm. Well, go ahead.
I
Go
don't.
ahead and read the card. I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's fine. When a dragon type monster on your field is destroyed by an opponent's attack, send one card from your hand to the graveyard to destroy one monster on your opponent's field.
Okay.
Now, this is a lot more powerful than Dragon's Fortitude, but I feel like this would give the diversity between his traps.
So this card is very similar to Michizuri, which is a card that we did not get until. Let's see. Hold on. Let me check the speed. Michizuri was released in Age of Discovery, which was, I think, the fourth mini box. It was released in 2016, so we did get it the first year that it came out. So okay, there is precedent for us to get a card as powerful as Michizuri during the year that came out. I do think the Vengeful Dragon counterattack would be a UR if it came because a
Yes,
straight
yes.
up destruction effect is a little bit powerful right now. Even though we do have Dragonic Pressure, which is Dark Hole, but that requires 3 discards, which is more than 1 discard. Okay, so Vengeful Dragon's counterattack, there is a requirement here to keep a card in your hand, and you also have to set this card, which means that you're essentially playing with only 3 cards instead of 5 the turn that you set this card up. And it doesn't prevent your dragon from being destroyed. Your dragon has to be destroyed for the effect to activate. It does prevent you from getting attacked directly, or you can use it to destroy one of your opponent's boss monsters. That is a very powerful effect. It makes cards like Triad Drago better, because now you have a benefit to drawing a card in the middle of your turn.
Yes.
but we only have two copies of Triad Draco so far. Um, I don't know that this card can come yet. I think that I would like to see this card in the next main box. Well, I guess all of them are going to be main boxes from now on. So probably I would expect to see this card in January. I don't think that it should come right now, but it's relatively close. Um,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see this card, especially if we got Dark Revelation at the same time. Maybe that's the other problem, right? Because you can use this with Dark Revelation at the same time. Maybe they put both of them to level 1. Although that would seem like it's kind of hurting the Dragon deck a little bit more than the Spellcasters, but you don't really want to play them together. Um, but that's kind of the problem, is that we have to deal with Dragon Casters being played together. I don't know.
And I think giving them like both powerful tools would kind of make each other wanna like run their own separate. Like I know Dragon Casters are strong together, but I kind of want to hom- homogenize it. Like keep it.
Maybe they release those cards as skill only then. Like maybe there's a skill where you can add Dark Revelation to your deck, but only if you're playing only spellcasters. Kind of like how Photon Lord was locked behind a skill.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That might be what they do for right now, at least. I
But
could
yeah, yeah.
definitely, I could definitely see your point though.
Basically, I wanted to give every deck like a powerful tool that has their own, so that it gives enough benefit to play them on their own rather than matching all their best monsters together.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's talk about some dragons that Luke could get. So, the dragon that I am most excited for is Shock Dragon.
Very interesting.
DLM is apparently not as excited for Shock Dragon. Come on, DLM. Thank you.
I'm looking it up on
I got
Wikipedia.
it. Shock Dragon, level 7, fire dragon. Oh, am I not? I'm not sharing my screen with you, am I?
No, you are not. But I'm looking up each
Bro, you should
card.
have told me ages ago. I'm sorry. Here, hold on.
It's fine. I was looking up every card anyway.
Okay. Shock Dragon. Level 7 Fire Dragon, 1600 attack, 2500 defense. Send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and then until the end of this turn, all face-up monsters with the highest attack on your opponent's field lose attack equal to the attack of Shock Dragon. Oh, no. Sorry. To the attack of the face-up monster with the highest attack on your field. This card can only attack position monsters this turn. So, for example, let's say that your opponent has Yami Ruler the Dark Delayer, um, Umegumi the Ruler Squadron, and Kime Ruler the Dark Raider out. Okay.
Yes.
Um, and Yami Ruler is in defense position, but it has not activated its effect this turn. Just activated it last turn, then stayed in defense. Okay. You summon Multi-Strike Dragon Dragius, and then you summon Shock Dragon. You activate Shock Dragon's effect. Both Kime Ruler and Yami Ruler lose 2,500 attack points because they are the monsters that have the highest attack on your opponent's field. They both have 2,500, and they lose attack points equal to the attack points of the highest attack monster on your field, which is Multi-Strike Dragon Dragius. And then Shock Dragon can only attack either Kime Ruler or um, Umegumi, because Shock Dragon cannot attack anything other than attack position monsters. Now, if you then played a card that got rid of all of your opponent's monsters, Shock Dragon would not be able to attack at all because it also cannot attack directly. So there's a couple things here. Number one, it doesn't require you to discard a card. So a lot of the kind of mid-range like a lot of the bosses that came after the start, um, required you to discard a card as opposed to milling a card because they could see how good milling a card was for cost. But Shock Dragon doesn't have that requirement, even though a lot of the level 7 monsters have the requirement to discard a card as opposed to it. And that's good because Shock Dragon is a card that you really want to combine with another level 7 dragon. So, not being able to combine, like having more resources to distribute summon two monsters on your turn, makes this a lot better. Um, this card does not require dragons. It's the monster with the highest attack on your field doesn't have to be a dragon. So you can run it in Dragon Casters. You can run it in um, a lot of decks. You could run it in Psychics, for example, and use Prima Guitarna, the Shining Superstar, raise Prima Guitarna's attack points up to 3,100, and then take 3,100 attack points from your opponent's monster.
Yes.
Um, so, and it's also, by the way, it's a fire monster for some reason, even though it's called Shock Dragon. I don't understand that part.
Players
But
and Rush Duels are spellcasters.
so, what do you think about this card?
I think it would be a pretty fair card. Like I originally didn't want to include it in my list, but after hearing you talk about it, I think I'll ease up a bit and say it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Because I feel like
it has to be combined with another card. If you just use it by itself, um, yes, you do have like you. Okay, here's the problem with using it by itself, right? Um, the thing that you're not taking into account when you think about using Shock Dragon's effect only when it's on the field is that you can't use a monster's effect while it's in defense position the turn you summon it because you have to summon it face up. So you're summoning it in attack position unless you somehow manage to special summon it, which is pretty hard. And if you're summoning it in attack position and you this is the only monster that you have, yes, you can beat over a card like Seven's Robe Magician and do a little bit of damage, but then you pass your opponent and you've spent 3 cards, 2 tributes, and Shock Dragon on a monster with just 1,600 attack points.
fair enough, fair enough.
So Shock Dragon is a combo level 7, which is extremely like that's a lot of resources to make a level 7 that requires another high level monster. So either you're already winning, and admittedly, Shock Dragon is a very good win more card, but that's very Luke, so I don't have a problem with that. Or you have cleverly like manipulated your board to have 6 cards. So this card would encourage dragons to play Karibot, for example, because they would want another card on their field so that they could have 2 tributes for Shock Dragon and then 2 tributes for like Multi-Strike Dragon Radius, which is 6 cards. It's not 5 cards. Um, so yeah, I would want this card because it just first of all it encourages dragon players to run a lot more monsters. And if we're giving dragon players more spells and traps, I want them to have a reason to play a lot of dragons in their deck. And number two, it's like a fair-ish card that's also really cool. We already got Dragonic Slayer, so the power level for dragons has already been set pretty high. I think we can get this one. I also really like its summoning chant. Its summoning chant is uh, do you feel that crackle in the air? See all the static around? Say hey to a monster that really knows how to take charge. Shock Dress. So Luke loves making his puns as much as he almost as much as he loves repeating himself. Okay, so that's one dragon, and then let's look at another dragon. Probably shouldn't go with another level 7, but like, that's all he plays. What's a good like level 4 that we don't have yet? Treasure Dragon, maybe?
There's one dragon that I put on the list. Let me find it. Let me.
Hold on. It's my turn. You can go in a second. So Treasure Dragon, level 3 Earth Dragon. It's important that it's level 3. That means that you can't use it with Triad Drago because Triad Drago requires 2 non-level 3 Earth Dragon, non-level 3 dragons. But Treasure Dragon requirement: you have 4 or more Dragon type monsters in your graveyard during the main phase that you special summon this card from your hand or graveyard. Its effect is you draw 1 card. That is extremely like narrow. You have to have 4 or more Dragon type monsters in your graveyard and you had to special summon this card from your hand or graveyard. There aren't that many ways in the game to special summon, but one of the ways that you could special summon in dragons is with Dragonic Pressure. So you play Dragonic Pressure, you discard 3 dragons, which puts 3 cards in your graveyard, and then you get to destroy every card on your opponent's field, and then you get to revive a level 4 or below monster from your graveyard. So you bring back Treasure Dragon, and now you can use Treasure Dragon's effect when you only have 1 card left in your hand because you played Dragonic Pressure to draw a card, which might give you the resources that you need to play a level 7 monster. Maybe you keep your level 7 in your hand, you gamble on Treasure Dragon to let you draw into another level 4. It works, you draw another level 4, and you contribute both of them to play a level 7. Or you you keep the level 7 in your hand, you gamble on Treasure Dragon, you draw a spell or trap card or another high level dragon, and now you miss the opportunity to potentially, um, especially if you drew like a level 7, you miss the opportunity to potentially keep a level 4 in your hand to tribute for the level 7 that you drew. There's a lot of mind games with this card. It is very luck based because top decking one card when you play a card like Dragonic Pressure can make or break you. But I think that this card being in the game would encourage Dragon players to play Dragonic Pressure. And if we had Dragonic, the thing about Dragonic Pressure, the thing that's so important about Dragonic Pressure is it requires you to discard 3 dragons. Dragon casters cannot play this card. They can't. They don't have that many dragons. So this is a card that is specifically only for pure dragons. And Treasure Dragon makes um, the makes this card more tolerable. Um, so I would really like to see Treasure Dragon in the game, and I think that it would see play at 3 because Dragonic Pressure is such a good card. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, never mind. You already answered the card I was gonna say, so it's good. Yes, this would definitely make drag players want to play Draconic Pressure more because then they could special summon this and then hopefully draw a card to get dragons out or like Dragonic Slayer,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like one of those.
it really pays for the cost of Dragonic Pressure when you only have to discard you discard 3 cards, but you get 1 monster back, and then you get another card back. So basically, it's like you're going -2 instead of going -4. Um, and going -2 for a board clear is not that bad in Rush. So like it still sounds like a lot when we have Dark Hole, but they don't have Dark Hole. So um, yeah. Okay. Um, let's go back to the beginning. We skipped Roman to start with. We're done with back row conversations. Let's talk about monsters. So Roman is desperately in need of some new monsters. What have you got?
I have not picked any monsters out for Roman right now, but like you said, they need to buff the skill to increase the attack points by 1,000 more so she can get her real boss monster.
They are explicitly excluding Esperade with that restriction. I don't know why. They probably have another skill they want her to use with Esperade, but they are saying basically even if Esperade comes, you can't play Climax Finale. And to be fair, to be fair, gaining 1,000 life points every turn that you're below 1,000 would probably make Esperade way too powerful. So I can kind of understand that, but it's really frustrating. We need another skill. We need another skill to use with Esperade. Okay. Well, if you don't have any cards, what cards do you have for Roman then? If you don't have traps or monsters?
Uh, look for Roman, but
Okay, you didn't look for Roman.
right
That's
now,
fine. That's fine. I'll talk then. Let's see. So, let's go with well, a Candy is the most important card, so we'll talk about Candy real quick. Um, hello.
I'm still here. I'm just,
No. I was talking to DLM. There are 10 cards. When I search Candy, there are 10 cards that come up.
bruh.
One of them is an alternate art, but this is how important Candy is to Roman's deck. Okay, so Candy is a level 1 psychic monster with 100 attack points and 100 defense points. Um, she's a normal monster. But this is a card that has a lot of synergy, a lot of support. Basically, Candy is probably the first card that kind of really approaches an archetype. Um, Seven's Robe Magician has like a lot of support that's specifically named Seven's Robe Magician, but it's more kind of like generic spellcaster support that benefits Seven's Road. Candy like really wants you to play specifically Candy. So let's talk about the cards that you could see. Um, so we have Jamp Check, which is if you have 2 or more face-up psychic type monsters on your field, including at least 1 normal monster, look at 2 face-down cards your opponent's spell and trap. Look at up to 2 face-down spell and trap cards on your opponent's field. Destroy one of them. So you get to look at your opponent's traps. Then you pick one to destroy. That's crazy good. Then if you have Candy face up on your field, you can gain 1,000 life points. So it's Diane Quito, the Cure Master, and Mystical Space Typhoon, but you also get to see another spell card that your opponent has. So Seal of the Ancients, but instead of paying 1,000 life points, you gain 1,000 life points. Then also Mystical Space Typhoon.
I think also part of the pain of having of trying to put psychic support is you can't play any card that mentions Omega Psychic yet.
Not quite. That's correct, but we'll get there. That's why I think that these cards are the next ones to come because they all specifically reference Candy. All right, then we have GMP set. Place one level 2 or lower psychic type normal monster from your graveyard on top of your deck. So you can pick any level 2 or lower, but you want to pick Candy. Place one level face up level 8 or lower monster from your opponent's field on top of their deck. Then if you place Candy on top of your deck to meet the requirement, you can shuffle up to 2 monsters from your graveyard into their deck. So you can so this is incredible removal. Putting one of your opponent's face up monsters on top of their deck is really good. Obviously, it's only level 8 or lower, so it doesn't work on maximum monsters or fusion monsters. But um, still, like removing a card from your opponent's field, probably this is probably too strong a removal to come right now, but it could come eventually. And then you can also shuffle 2 monsters from your opponent's graveyard into their deck, which is, again, that's basically banishing 2 cards from their graveyard in Rush Duel terms. So, really solid effect, especially if we get a card like Dark Revelation. This will be the counter to Dark Revelation for Psychics. Um, Looking forward to this. Then we have Jam Piece Start. Place 2 Psychic monsters from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck in any order. Add 1 Psychic type normal monster from your graveyard to your hand. Then if you added Candy to your hand by this effect, gain 1,000 life points. So this is Monster Reincarnation, but only for normal monsters. Um, that's rough, but this card, you can kind of compare this card to Recovery Force, which is shuffle 3 spellcasters from your graveyard into your deck and then draw a card. Um, it's basically the same thing, except it's kind of like more reliable. You can't get a boss monster off of it, but you can get um like you can be sure that you're getting a sacrifice card. And if you get Candy, you gain 1,000 life points. Um,
Yes.
this might be too much life point gain with the skill, but Candy is only level 1, so they kind of protected themselves because Candy does not activate Climax Beat by herself. You have to summon a level 2 psychic, not a level 2 or lower psychic. So maybe that's why they designed Climax that way. Um,
Maybe maybe
there's
that's why.
there's going to be at least one Candy skill, I'm sure. Like this is her entire deck. Then we have
I'll
Jam
definitely
P up.
I'll continue.
Send one face up psychic type monster from your field to the graveyard. Special summon one level 7 psychic type monster from your hand to the field. If you set Candy to meet the requirement, the monster special summoned by this effect gains 1,500 attack points until the end of the turn. So that is Tribute Doll. Tribute a monster to special summon a level 7 from your hand. It's only level 7, not level 7 or 8. And not level 7 or below either. Um, so that is basically uh, Folder Blitz the Infinite Dream, Prima Guitar and the Shining Superstar. I don't think Esperade is level 7. I think Esperade is level 8. Let me check. Esperade is level 7. Okay. So Esperade, dang. Esperade gaining 1,500 attack points is scary. Probably not going to get this card then. Never mind.
Actually,
Um,
we might, because I feel like that's what might give psychics the boost they need. Like I've been trying to avoid cards that just special summon boss monsters for you for free, but I feel like psychics, like to get to where they need, I feel like just giving them that card will give them the boost they need.
well, it's not for nothing. I mean, you do have to send a psychic monster from your field to the graveyard. So it's basically like, yeah. I mean, considering that you have infinite normal summons, it's like Jam Up is like the second monster because you're still losing 2 cards to summon a level 7. It's just that if you send Candy, you also get 1,500 attack points, which is pretty good. It also lets you avoid Yami Rule of the Dark Delayers effect because you're not tribute summoning. Um,
Yes.
so these are some cards that we could see. We could also see Esperade. I'll go over Esperade real quick for those that didn't see the other video. Esperade, the Smashing Superstar, is a level 7 Psychic type monster. She has 2,500 attack points, which means that if you have her in your deck, you cannot use Climax Beat. and her effect is if you have 1,000 or less life points, you can destroy up to 2 monsters on your opponent's field. Um, this effect is extremely powerful. There's no um, level requirement, so it can destroy maximum monsters. It can destroy fusion monsters. There's no face up requirement, so you can pop 2 monsters your opponent controls in face down defense position. And you can do it like it's every other monster effect. This is a soft once per turn. So if you have 2 Esperades, you can destroy 4 monsters. If your opponent doesn't destroy Esperade, then you just get to destroy 2 more cards on their turn again. So this is a card that is extremely good. And I think that the fear of how good psychics are at 6,000 life points is what pushed them to release Road Magic Explosion at the start of the game. So they have a floodgate for if psychics become too good, you can just OTK them with Road Magic Explosion. Um, but we need Esperade. Esperade is like the payoff card for psychics. It's kind of how they deal with high level monsters, and we don't have enough high level psychics to begin with anyway. Um, so we need a skill for Esperade, and we need Esperade in the game, basically. I would say Esperade, Candy, a couple Candy cards, that would be all you need for the next box, and then we would see a better Psychic experience. Because I do think that Psychics are probably not quite the worst. We did this in the tier list. I think Psychics are like slightly better than Warriors, but not by much, and they're both significantly worse than Dragons and Spellcasters. Even though Dragons and Spellcaster didn't really get much of their support to begin with.
Oh, definitely. Like Dragon Spellcaster is only going to get better from here, but I feel like Psychics and Warriors are lacking behind
Mm-hmm.
because we aren't getting what we need right now.
Yep. Um, okay. So then let's move forward a little bit. So let's go back to Gavin, and I've already talked about semi-ruler. So what warrior sorry, what monster or spell cards do you think that Gavin might get?
Warrior. Oh, all right, I'm checking real quick, see which cards I wanted to get from him. It was basically like it had to do with the demon zero attack.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Tekigumi, the ruler squad. Basically, if your opponent has a monster on the field and you have a monster with zero attack in your graveyard, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. One face-up monster on your field gains attack equal to the number of face monsters with zero attack in your graveyard times 200 till the end of this turn.
Okay.
Which would play into Kime Luna, which has zero attack, and it will also play into like the Hermit, which also has zero attack.
Yes, and Takegumi, the ruler squad, has zero attack itself as well.
And then for the second card, I chose, I believe, Tama the Master Cat.
Ah.
Which, if you
Go ahead.
if you have another face-up monster with zero attack on your field, you can send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard. If a monster with zero attack is among the cards you send, you can special summon one normal monster with zero attack from your graveyard face up to your field.
Yes. So Tama the Mancer Cat is definitely a card that Gavin has used quite frequently. Zero attack, 1,000 defense. It's a dark beast monster, so it's not a warrior. But allowing you to send 2 cards to the top of your deck to the graveyard, and if either one of them has zero attack points, you get to revive it. Um, that's pretty good. It does only allow you to revive normal monsters, so you can't bring back a card like Kime Luna. Uh, but bringing back a card like the Hermit in defense position with 2,000 defense points is pretty good. Um, I feel like if we got Tama the Mancer Cat and we got these other cards that have zero attack, I would expect us to get Shield and Sword then.
Are you sure?
Well, I mean, we don't really have another option. If that's where we're going with this, then we would need Shield and Sword. So, Shield and Sword is a legend spell, which we don't have any legend spells yet. So, we're gonna get some legend spells eventually. Right now, we only have legend monsters. But it's a spell card, and it says switch the original attack and defense of all face-up monsters on the field until the end of this turn. So Gavin's cards like Urashima the Hermit benefit from this, and importantly, unlike Multi-Strike Dragon Dragius, unlike Prima Gitarna the Shining Superstar, unlike Seven's Robe Magician, Yami Ruler of the Dark Delayer has 2,500 defense points, and Kime Ruler has 2,000 defense points. So Gavin's monsters are not penalized by having low defense points like the other monsters are, which means that Shield and Sword gives him a huge leg up against his opponent's monsters. Um, when you consider that we already have cards like Torn of the Windweaver and um, Rice Supra in the game that force monsters into defense position, we're already seeing a focus on exploiting monsters that have low defense points. It seems like Shield and Sword is a natural progression from that, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I didn't want to include it at first, but after hearing it, yeah, I definitely see why we would use sword and shield, why they want to include it with these cards.
Well, it's a hard one of. Remember, like it's a legend, so it's not like it would break the game to have a hard one of in this deck. It would basically just be like your OTK strategy.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It would make people want to not play cards like Prima Gitarna when they can't OTK. So it gives you an added benefit. Even if you don't have the card, your opponents will play more defensively against you because they'll be so scared of getting killed. So, like for example, Folder Blitz has 0 defense points. Um, Prima Gitarna has 0 defense points. Esperade has 0 defense points. Psychics would be completely blown out against Warriors if Shield and Sword was in the game, and that would be beneficial to Warriors because right now Warriors not that good against Psychics. Yes, you can force the monster into defense position and then try and like either run over it or maybe you have Pierce, but why can't you have both Pierce and Shield and Sword? Really, I mean, if your focus is on taking advantage of defense position monsters, then it would seem like Shield and Sword would be a nice like progression from that. And Gavin does use Shield and Sword in the anime as well. So, um, okay.
I think it would be a bundle if it was included. I think it would definitely be a
Oh yeah,
bundle.
definitely. Yeah, just like Summon Skull. They're not gonna put a card like this in the box. You can only use one copy of it. Okay. So then let's go on to um, what I want to do here. We talked about Gavin just now. Let's talk about Luke uh, and you go one more time, and then we will switch to characters. We'll talk about characters for a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and cut this short, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
Great. Okay, so moving on to Yuga. What cards do you want to see from Yuga that are not back row?
Cards that I would like to see from you that are not back row. I think there was one card. One card I had looked at earlier. Never mind, not this, bro. Not this card, bro. I was looking at it now. It's horrible. But you mentioned Hilt.
I
Hilt
did
the
mention Hilt.
Bear. I think it would work well with the ride cross, like you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
since it would boost the warriors of it.
That's right. And Ride Across also works well with Hydro Magician, which is a level 5 that has 1,700 attack points and no effects, but I mean, it's a level 5, so it gets out pretty fast with Ride Across. So that would give us another reason to have Hydro Magician in the game.
Next card is not going to necessarily be geared towards spellcasters, but I think it would help Lightning Volcore, Thunderbolt the Blazing Thunder.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Thunderbolt. Okay, so Thunderbolt, the Blazing Thunder. Okay, now you don't know this, and I can completely understand you not knowing this. Thunderbolt, the Blazing Thunder is one of the very few Rush Duel cards that is currently on the limited list.
Oh, shoot.
So in the actual game, Thunderbolt, the Blazing Thunder is limited to one. I'm pretty sure. Hold on, let me verify that. Um, it's so hard to find the limited list right now because it's only in Japanese. Let's see. This is January. No, 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 no. Where's June? Oh, maybe does it have it? Let's see.
Oh, there it is.
No, there's April, July, October. Here we go. Yeah, Thunderbolt the Blazing Thunder is one of the limited cards on the list. Um, okay, so let's go back to it. Thunderbolt the Blazing Thunder, level 7 Fire Thunder monster. During the turn, you normal summon this card, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. This card gains 300 attack until the end of this turn. Then, if you have 4 or more level 7 monsters with different names in your graveyard, you can special summon one level 7 monster from your graveyard to face up on your field. No. I will go ahead. I will go ahead and respectfully tell you, no, this card's not coming. This is the exact opposite of a card that we want right now because it is a monster mash card. You want 4 or more level 7 monsters with different names in your graveyard. So this would be like Dragius, Prima Gitarna, Seven's Road Magician, maybe Lightning Bolt Condor, like you said. Like you don't want to encourage. We don't want to encourage Monster Mash right now. We already have plenty of Monster Mash decks. This card would not see any play in like pure dragons because there's not enough pure dragons. It wouldn't see any play in pure psychics because there's not enough pure psychics. Even in the Volt Condor deck, like you have Volt Condor, you have Darkness Crested Hawk, you have Seven's Road Magician. That's only 3. So this card would basically only see play right now in like a mess up deck where you just have a bunch of level 7s that are all different names. Um, and while that's cute, we don't want to encourage that. I don't think they don't want to do that. And the benefit of this is just kind of insane. Being able to summon just another level 7 for free from your graveyard, especially considering how powerful Dragius is. I guess if you put this to limit 3, it, it would be okay, but then you wouldn't really have any like way to play it because there's not enough level 7s in the game right now. So I think that they'll probably give us Thunderbolt at some point, but it's going to be like a while from now. Once we have enough level 7s to justify it that are kind of in the same type, maybe they restrict, maybe they give us a skill for it that restricts specifically to spellcasters and wing beasts. Because yeah, I do want to see this for Lightning Bolt Condor. I just don't want to see it for Dragon Casters.
Fair. I guess
Um,
I don't got really any cards for Yuga since the rest are 7 roll cards, which I don't think we're gonna see for a while.
I mean, I didn't expect us to get Witch as fast as we did, but I can see your point. So what I want to see for Yuga, like I already talked about the monsters. I want to see Magical Stream, which is a spell card that says if you have a spellcaster monster, destroy one spell trap on the field. So we already have cards like Mystic Dealer, which encourage spellcaster synergy. The more spellcaster synergy we have, the more spellcasters will feel like they need to run more spellcasters. If we put enough cards in the game that require you to have spellcasters, they will run out of space for dragons, in my opinion. So I feel like we put Magical Stream in the game. We don't put the dragon copy in the game, which is Fire Dragon's Heat Lash, because we already have Dragonic Slayer. So you say, okay, well, dragons can play Dragonic Slayer, which requires dragons. Magical Stream requires spellcasters, and you just play those cards and try and encourage the decks to separate a little bit. Uh,
I can
excuse me.
definitely see how that would separate. Oh no, you're good, you're good. But yeah, I definitely would like to see that card in the game because that would give more reason to just play spellcasters instead of dragon casters.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hopefully we can see that. Um, let's see, and then what's another good Yuga card that we could see? Guilford the Legend is in this game. That's funny. All right, let's see. Fan- Phantasm Spiral Dragon is a legend card. Oh my god. Off topic. Have you ever played against Phantasm Spirals in Master Duel?
I actually have once.
I cannot believe they made this card a legend. That's funny. All right. I don't really know of any other Yuga cards that could come right now. I'm not seeing anything really. He's like,
If you don't mind, I actually do have one card. Since you mentioned a magical stream, like I do have one card for Warriors that's on the similar level.
sure, what's that?
Avion Spell Strategy.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about Avian Spell Search. Avian Spell Strategy. So if you have at least 2 or more face-up warrior and or winged beast monsters on your field, you can destroy 1 spell or trap on your opponent's field. Then you can place 1 level 8 or lower warrior or winged beast monster from your graveyard on top of your deck. So this card is very good. It allows you to pop one of your opponent's spell and trap cards, and then you can also recover a winged beast or a warrior from your graveyard. Um, this is great for Lightning Bolt Condor. It's great for Yami Ruler the Dark Delayer, and it is specifically really good for the unequal decks that Gavin will run in the future. I do think that it's unlikely that we will see Avian spell strategy until we get Karchazark the Unequaled, but I don't know. Maybe it's soon enough that we can get Karchazark the Unequaled. Let's take a look at it. Karchazark the Unequaled is the card that Gavin used in his duel against Nail. It is a level 7 Fire Wing Beast with 2100 attack and 2100 defense. Its requirement is that you send 1 level 7 or higher monster from your hand to the graveyard, so this works with both Lightning Bolt Condor and with Gavin's decks. This card gains 1,000 attack points until the end of this turn. Then, if you sent a warrior or winged beast monster to the graveyard to meet the requirement, you can add a level 6 or lower normal monster from your graveyard to your hand. So you can discard a card like, for example, Kime Ruler the Dark Raider to give Karchazark the Unequaled 1,000 attack points. And then you can return Urashima the Hermit from your graveyard to your hand, and then potentially, say, summon it and use the skill to give it 2,800 attack points till the end of the turn.
Oh, definitely. That would definitely be helpful.
So if we had Karchazark the Unequaled, I could definitely see us getting Avian Spell Strategy. But for right now, we don't really have um, enough of Gavin's Winged Beasts to where I think they would start giving us his like Winged Beast and Warrior support cards. Um, we'll have to see. It has Avian in the name. I know that works with Warriors, but it has Avian in the name. It's going to be a card that they give with Winged Beasts, not with Warriors.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay. Let's go on to Luke. What are the cards that you are interested in seeing for Luke?
Honestly, I don't got much for Luke. Like, I'm pretty sure he's pretty good to set. Like, give him more interaction, and he's pretty much set to go. Like, his deck is already very solid. Like,
Okay.
I feel like once you give him more interaction, he'll pretty much always be top tier.
Okay. Well, the card that I'm looking forward to the most for Luke is Mountain.
Interesting, interesting.
So, field spell, while this card is face up on the field, face up Dragon, Wing Beast, and Thunder monsters on the field gain 200 attack and defense points. Obviously, Thunder the Thunder is a card that sees a lot of play in Dragon decks because of its synergy with Multi-Strike Dragon Dragius. It's basically how Dragius gets over other monsters that have 2,500 attack points. So, Mountain powering up Dragons and Thunder the Thunder will allow for more power for Luke. But since we don't have terraforming, since we don't have any search cards, um, I don't think it'll be consistent enough to where it becomes like a dangerous strategy. And the 200 defense points on this card is basically meaningless. Like, yes, there'll be occasionally a point where you're like, oh, my opponent used Horn of the Windweaver to change my Dragius to defense position, and because of Mountain, Dragius has 1,700 defense points, so Torna can't beat over it. Like in that specific interaction, yes, the 200 defense points matters, but for the most part in Rush Duels, it really doesn't. So you can consider Mountain to basically say, give all your face-up Dragons and Thunder monsters 200 attack points. Is that too good? No, I don't think so. In particular, I want to see this because it makes Dragonic Slayer and Piercing Dragon Bunker and the other 2,300 attack dragons have 2,500 attack, and that's like a key break point. It will allow them to trade into cards like Summon Skull. Is trading into another monster with 500 attack points too powerful? No, it's not. So I think that Mountain is like the best card to give Luke right now because it's a spell card that amplifies his offense, and Luke in particular is punished for running spell cards because he wants to play Dragonic Pressure, which requires 3 monster cards. So I feel like Mountain is a good opportunity cost. It's a good card, but if you run it, then your Dragonic Pressures are less good, but your monsters overall will make better trades, so maybe you don't need Dragonic Pressure as much. And then it also allows Dragius to sometimes make better trades on your turn without you drawing Thunder the Thunder or Gravity Press Dragon. And if you do that, you're not discarding as many cards from your hand. And that's kind of one of the problems that dragons are running into right now is that they have to discard so many cards to win fights that they often run out of cards, um, which is a good balancing act for right now. But if you bring everyone else up, then dragons are going to need something to compete, or they'll just go to spellcasters. So I think Mountain as like the only field spell would be fine. We already have Forest in the game, um, and I think that this would benefit enough players because it also benefits Condor. It benefits the unequaled cards, and it benefits Thunders, which we will. I don't know that we're going to get. I think his name is Taps, the drummer from Roa's band. We probably won't get him, but we'll probably get his cards at some point. So there's a Thunder deck that's coming, um, and this card will be fine for all that.
And speaking of Rolla's band, I feel like that's who's gonna be our next character,
Yep,
Rolla.
let's transition into that. It's perfect. All right, so we have a few options for the January unlock. I don't think that we're going to get another character before January. Um, so first up, we have Roa Cassidy, um, who I have affectionately called Twink Jack Atlas. He is he is he refers to himself as the king. All of his trap cards reference the word king. He wants to be the king of duels, um, and he has like a major ego. So I think he's Twink Jack Atlas. I think that fits him perfectly, and he is a very aggressive character. He is the leader of the Roa Roman band, which is obviously a band that has both Roa and Roman in it. Um, and he plays fiend monsters, and his fiend monsters are called Royal Rebels, which means that if you play this deck and you do not name your deck Rebel Yell, even though it's a deck full of musical rebels, you are an idiot. Rebel Yell is the only appropriate name for his deck. Okay. All right, so his ace monster is Royal Rebels Heavy Metal, which is a level 8 light fiend monster with 2,500 attack and 0 defense points. And we will see now the Royal Rebels kind of mechanic. Its requirement is during the turn you normal summon this card by tributing a level 5 or higher monster. You can choose one level face-up level 8 or lower monster with the lowest level on your opponent's field. This card gains attack equal to that monster's attack until the end of this turn, and then you destroy that monster. So that is whew, that is a really powerful effect. So if your opponent has, for example, Seven's Robe Magician and Seven's Robe Witch on their field, then Royal Rebels Heavy Metal destroys Seven's Road Witch, takes it off the field, and then Heavy Metal gains 1,600 attack points. That's pretty strong. But it does require you to tribute a level 5 or higher monster.
And that's personally fun. Like he got quite a lot.
He does have quite a lot, but it's inefficient, right? You're not summoning 2 level 4s and then going into a level 8. You're summoning a level 4, another level 4, then tributing one of your level 4s to summon a level 5, and then tributing those 2 to go into level. So it's basically like you're using an extra card for the effect. But we have the tribute boost skill, which is definitely going to be a skill for Roman. It's basically made for him. Uh, Skills. Tribute boost. Okay, tribute boost, which is an archive skill. So actually, never mind. We know that everyone can use this skill, so Roa will have this skill. From turn 4 and onward, you have to pay 1,000 life points. And then one face-up level 5 or 6 monster on your field gains 500 attack until the end of this turn. Then this turn, that monster can be treated as 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a monster in attack position, but you cannot attack directly the whole turn. This is almost certainly going to be Roa's best skill, because it allows you to say, okay, I tributed a level 5, and then that level 5 is all I need to summon my high-level monsters. But you do have to
See
pay
now,
1,000 attack points.
yeah, but if they like summon dragons or like a Yami ruler, you cannot. Well, you technically can't get some of this from Yami ruler, but if they have like Seven's Roll or Dragius, you can tribute that monster and then basically gain that monster's attack points. So you get a 5,000 beater.
Well, yeah, but you can't attack directly. So remember, it only that sounds good, but remember, it only works on the monster with the lowest level. So if Dragius is the only monster on their field, then it will have the lowest level. You'll have 5,000 attack points, but then you can't attack directly. So you basically just destroy Dragius and pass.
Ah,
So
fair
yeah,
enough.
it does sound pretty good, but that restriction of you can't attack directly definitely makes it more balanced. Um, let's talk about the other Royal Rebels cards. So we have Royal Rebels Growl, which is a level 6 Fiend monster. During the turn that you normal summon this card by attributing a level 5 or higher monster, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and then one face-up level 8 or lower monster on your opponent's field loses attack and defense equal to its level times 200 until the end of this turn. So you have to tribute a level 5 for a level 6, which is really bad. You basically doubled the cost of tributing this card. But then you can say, okay, well, Seven's Robe Magician loses 1,400 attack points. So that's pretty good. It only works on level 8 or lower, so you can't use this to beat maximum monsters, which is unfortunate. This would be really good against maximum monsters, but still pretty strong. Oh, by the way, all of Roa's fiends are also light for some reason. So they are light fiends, like magical musketeers. Um, Royal Rebels Shout um, is a level 4 Royal Rebels card, and it requires if your opponent has a face-up level 7 or higher monster on their field, you can send one card from your hand to the graveyard to send up to 2 random cards from your opponent's hand to the graveyard. Which they will draw those cards back anyway. So this is mostly like a counter to cards like Vengeful Dragon Counterattack.
Ah, I
There
think if you add that, oh, continue.
there are some trap cards that require discarding, so this card being able to discard 2 cards will almost certainly turn off those cards. I don't know that it's that good though. We'll have to see. But go ahead.
Basically, I was saying if we get more cards like these, I think it would have more benefit to add card that Vengeful Dragon counterattack. But from right now, I can definitely see a point of why we wouldn't want to add that yet.
Hmm. Okay. Then we have Royal Rebels Blues, which is this card does not require tributing a high level monster, thankfully, but it is a level 5. So you tribute one level 4, summon this card. Then you have to send a spell or trap from your hand to the graveyard. So it's not just any card. You have to have a spell or trap. Then you get to special summon one level 7 or higher Fiend monster from your graveyard to your field in defense position. But you can only attack with Fiend monsters this turn. So you summon it in defense position. It has to be level 7 or higher. This gives you an additional tribute, a high level tribute. So you can tribute 2 monsters that are level 5 or higher for whatever monster you want to summon. That is beneficial, but you do have to have a spell card in your hand to discard. And what are you gonna need? What do you need 2 high level monsters for? Well, his crazy powerful card, Royal Rebels Doom Metal. Or no, I'm sorry, never mind. That requires 2 level 7 or higher. I'm sorry. Invasion then? Yes, Invasion. I'm sorry. Royal Rebels Invasion. During the turn, you normal summon this card by attributing 2 level 5 or higher monsters. And the effect is destroy all face-up level 4 or lower monsters on your opponent's field.
Also, also two tributes, but that is definitely very helpful. Like most people usually are only gonna have like one one level 8 or higher.
Mhm.
I mean, like one level 7 or 8. So using this, you could clear a path for OTK. Not necessarily OTK, but you can really do some damage.
Yep. Yeah, and then Hard Rock and Doom Metal require 2 level 7 or higher, which is crazy. Yeah, that's gonna be hard. Yeah, so that's the cards. Then we have Royal Rebels Arena, which you can only act. It's a field spell that you can only activate if your opponent has at least 2 monsters on their field. So you can't play it on your first turn. And while this card is on the field in the field zone, face up, light attribute fiend type monsters on the field cannot be destroyed by traps.
Which means if we did get Vengeful Dragon's counterattack, like Fiends would be protected with this.
Exactly, that's correct. Yeah. So these are some cards that Roa can get. Let's not spend too much time on Roa because we have other people to talk about. But this is kind of like an introduction to Roa's strategy, to Roa's theme. Um, the problem that Roa finds is that his monsters can only activate their effects the turn they're normal summoned. So he has like a lot of comeback potential, but he's very difficult to press advantage with. If your opponent, for example, just sets 3 and passes, you don't really have a good answer to something like that because your cards all can only activate the fact their turn they're summoned, and they all punish face-up monsters. So there's no piercing. Um, it's going to be difficult for you to win with Royal Rebels if your opponent simply passes a bunch. But we'll have to see if there's like a skill that maybe he gets to deal with that. That's Roa. The other character that's most likely to come is Nail, which this is the face of curiosity. Um, so
But my
Nail,
question is,
go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Continue.
No, no, you're fine.
My question is, would they really give us Nail this early?
I mean, I didn't expect them to give us Yuto as early as they did. January has been a situation where they usually give us the rival, um, and Nail is basically the closest thing to a rival that Yuga gets.
That is fair. But he also does bring Maximum. And like you said, while he is a rival, would they really introduce Maximum this early?
I don't know. If Nail did not have maximum monsters, I would say with 100% certainty that he would be the character to come because he's the rival. But since he does bring maximum monsters into the fold, I would probably want to see Roa first. Um, and I don't know. I don't know. Maybe because we're gonna get another Rush box in November. Maybe they give us another Rush character. Maybe we get Roa in November, and then we get Nail in January. I don't know. But if the next unlock is the January unlock, it is the rival character, and therefore Nail has a very good chance of being the character introduced. So let's talk about Nail. So Nail's ace monster is Yggdrago the Sky Emperor, which, oh, there's 2 G's, I guess. Okay. Yggdrago the Sky Emperor is a level 10 light monster with 2,000 attack points or 4,000 maximum attack points. Fun fact, the monster's name in Japanese is Yggdrago the Heavenly Dragon Tree, and it is neither a dragon nor a plant monster. It is a Cybers monster. So I'm glad that they renamed it to Sky Emperor in English. That's much more, that makes much more sense. Um, it is definitely a heavenly dragon tree, if you look at it. It is a tree that has dragon-shaped heads, and 3 of them. Okay, this is a maximum monster. Maximum monsters have... Oh, the rules for maximum summoning are basically you have to have all 3 cards in your hand, and there's like a Yggdrago the Sky Emperor, there's a Yggdrago the Sky Emperor L, and there's a Yggdrago the Sky Emperor R. You have to have all 3 of them in your hand at the same time, then you special summon all 3 of them at the same time, and if you have any other monsters on your field, you send them to the graveyard as part of the summoning. Then they are 1 monster. They can only attack with you can only attack once per turn with that 3 monsters, but they have the maximum attack of 4,000, and they have all 3 of Yggdrago's effects. So the centerpiece's maximum effect is This card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's trap effects. That is extremely good. It basically means that your opponent has to destroy the monster in battle, and it has 4,000 attack points. The left side says send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard to destroy one face-up level 8 or lower monster on your opponent's field. This card would be fantastic for dealing with Dragius. It is probably a card that will establish Yggdrago's dominance, assuming that we get a skill to make Yggdrago playable. And then on the right, we have Yggdrago the Sky Emperor R, which requires you to send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard again to change one defense position monster in your opponent's field to attack position. So this allows you. Yggdrago the Sky Emperor is basically the only maximum monster that you can't just set 3 and pass against. Um, it does allow you to very easily kill your opponent through their defenses, but you do have to mill quite a bit. You're milling 3 cards with each effect that Yggdrago activates, and in a 30-card deck, that's going to be very difficult. I do think that if we get a skill that makes Yggdrago easier to play by like searching it, we will see Nail play 40-card decks as opposed to playing 30 cards because he has to pay so many costs.
That might be the case.
So Nail's other cards, it's like an obscure reference to like math. Um, all of his cards, they start like level 4 and then they go to level 3 and then 2 and then 1, and each of them are named after like a measurement that gets lower. So it starts, I think it starts like Fentron, that goes like um Femtron, then Atron, then Zeptron, then Yoctron. So if you are a math nerd, you probably know what that means. I don't. But it's going from like bigger to smaller. And each of these monsters has an effect that requires another monster in the chain to be in the graveyard, and they basically let you dig through your deck. There is no searching in Rush Duels, so these cards just let you draw a bunch of cards and then either discard or return cards from your hand to the deck so that you're not getting advantage, you're just digging. That's really cool. I do like the Nails kind of theme of digging for his maximum monster, um, but it's still very unreliable. So unless they give us a skill, Nail will be a very bad character. But if they give us a skill that lets us basically like trade a card in our hand for one of the maximum pieces, then the maximum deck becomes a lot better. Um, which is a little scary because there's not really a way that we can deal with it right now, except for exactly Triple Threat Thunder, which is a card we only have one of. Um, but I don't think I care. I think I want maximums to be good when they first come out, so that it encourages people to play maximums because they've basically been discarded by the Rush player base at this point.
I think part of it is that also you need to get all three. So it's like if you don't get all three, they're basically just like high level normal monsters that basically don't really do anything.
They're not high level. I will clarify. So only the centerpiece is high level. Um,
Oh,
so so yes, that might sound like bad, but the centerpiece is level 10, but the left and right are level 4 and level 3.
I see now. I see now.
Yeah. So the centerpiece of the maximum is always level 10, and the monster will always be level 10 because it has the maximum level. But the side pieces are intended to be something that you can throw away in defense position if you need to. Um, yeah. So I mean, I don't have much to say about Nail. Like he's the rival character. He introduces maximum summoning. It's probably too early for maximum summoning to come, but at the same time, like they can't hold it off forever. Um,
That,
and if they're going to introduce fusion summoning before Go Rush, then Maximum's coming in January makes the most sense. Maybe they introduce Maximum summoning in January and then maybe fusion summoning in May, and then we have like 4 months to play with fusion summoning before Go Rush comes out. Um, but they have to introduce fusion summoning before Go Rush comes out because um, fusion summoning is the core tenet of Go Rush, and fusion summoning was introduced in Sevens. It was not introduced in Go Rush. So we have to hit both maximum and fusion summoning before September, which is kind of awkward.
it definitely does put us in a weird position. Like they have to introduce like these mechanics now before like we get to Gold Rush because like Gold Rush already has these, but since we're doing sevens right now, we kind of got to introduce them in like a
Yeah,
fast pace.
it almost makes me wish that like they would hold off for a year and give us just sevens for like a year, and then next like in 2025 we get Go Rush. Like that's what I would want, but that's not gonna happen. So um, anyway, so that's the cards that we expect will be coming. That's the cards that, or that's the characters that we expect to come. Since we talked about fusion, I'm going to really quickly go over some cards that are not going to come for a while. But if you are excited for fusion summoning, here are some examples of fusion summon cards. So we have Yami Terasu, the Divine Ruler, which is a fusion of Yami, Ruler, the Dark Delayer, and Needle Curie, the Celestial Seamstress. And this kind of card is it basically like it's a fusion summon version of Yami Ruler. So its requirement is that you send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and it is a multi-choice effect. So whenever you activate a multi-choice effect, you get to pick one or the other, and you can't use the effect for the rest of the turn. So you only get one option. Um, the first effect of Yami Terasu, the Divine Ruler, is until the end of your opponent's next turn, while this card is face up, it gains 500 attack points. Also, neither player can special summon level 9 or lower monsters in face up attack position. So it's very similar to Yami Ruler, the Dark Lair. Yami Ruler prevents tribute summoning, Yami Terasu prevents special summoning. But it prevents special summoning everything, not just high level monsters. Um, and then the other option is that you can change the battle position of one monster on the field. Importantly, maximum monsters can't be in defense position. So, Gold, what do you think about Yami Terasu, the Divine Ruler?
As much as I would love to have this in the game, I know I ain't gonna see this for a good while. So we don't even got Neil Curry.
That's
We ain't
correct.
seeing that.
We're not going to see this card probably until at least July. But when it does come, you will have probably a skill for Gavin that focuses around fusion summoning. I imagine there'll be an archive skill that focuses on fusion summoning so everyone can play fusion. Um, and we're gonna see some fun stuff. That's kind of why I want Semi Ruler to come now, so that we can introduce the like all three of the Divine Ruler fusion summons at the same time and have it make sense.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So that is Gavin's card. Then you talked about Omega Psychics earlier, so let's talk about some Omega Psychics. So we have which one of these is her ace? I think it's this. Oh wait. Oh, this is just alternate artwork. Okay. This is Roman's true ace, Omega Gitarna, the Supreme Shining Mega. Omega Gitarna, the Supreme Shining Superstar is how they literally translated it, but we have her voice line, so we know that she calls it Omega Gitarna, the Shining Megastar. Level 9, 2900 attack, 2000 defense. This is an Omega Psychic type. There are new types that are for fusion monsters. It requires Prima Gitarna, the Shining Superstar, and Arma Lilith, um, which just like Needle Curie, like these are like normal monsters that we haven't seen yet. So they're not special. They're just normal monsters that are basically like attacks to summon fusion monsters. The requirement is that you send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and it's a multi-choice effect. Either this card gains attack equal to the number of monsters on your opponent's field at times 1,000 until the end of this turn, and this turn this card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's trap card effects, or you can destroy one spell or trap on your opponent's field. So just like Yami Terasu. This card has an amped up version of Prima Gitarna's effect. It only works on itself as opposed to every monster on your field, but because it works on itself, it gains a lot of attack points. 1,000 times the number of monsters on your opponent's field. So that's 3,000 attack points. This gives you much better synergy with cards like Pierce. So you can play Pierce on Omega Gitarna after you've played a card like Lullaby, for example, and then just like crash into your opponent's monster at 0 defense points, hit them for 5,900, and kill them. Um, Very excited to have this card in the game. This will make Psychics very good. Oddly enough, it's a dark monster, even though Prima Gitarna is a light monster. I don't like that. Um, please stop corrupting my cute Psychic girls. They all want to just play a nice concert. They're not evil. Okay. Then we have for Yuga, we have Seven's Seven's Paladin, I guess we could. No, let's talk about Master of the Seventh Road. So Master of the Seventh Road is basically the Dark Magicians. It is a fusion of Seventh Road Magician and Seventh Road Witch, and it has no requirements. So you don't have to discard a card, you don't have to mill a card. You are just activating the effect. 3,000 attack, 2,100 defense. Um, either no, I'm sorry. It's a continuous effect. I'm sorry. So this is a continuous effect. Continuous effects are effects that are just always active without being activated. This card gains attack equal to the number of dark attribute spellcaster monsters with different names in your graveyard times 300. Wow. So let's say if you have all 6 of the Sevens Road monsters in your graveyard with different names, it has 4,800 attack points. Uh, if you have 7 or more dark attribute spellcaster type monsters in your graveyard, this card inflicts piercing damage. So we finally have a monster that just has continuous piercing, but only if you have 7 or more dark attribute spellcaster monsters in your graveyard. Well, I mean, if they all have different names and has 5,100 attack points, so a fusion summon of this card with 5,100 attack points can't be destroyed by. Or no, it can't be destroyed by traps. I'm sorry, I was thinking the other 2 cards. And it has piercing. That's pretty good. So basically, just a big giant beater. But that kind of fits with Seven's Road Magician, so I don't have a problem with it. What do you think?
I think it's a pretty good fusion. Like it doesn't have the protection like the Katirna, but it has piercing. It just automatically has piercing and gains attack.
It's
So like it
interesting.
doesn't.
Go ahead.
Okay, it does its job as a beat stick.
Yeah, what I think is interesting though is um it's like the opposite of Seven's Road. So it's like a amplified Seven's Road effect, which we understand. Like all of them are supposed to have amplified versions of the other cards' effects, but it's specifically only dark monsters. Whereas Seven's Road, the original Seven's Road, wants you to have every attribute. So this is interesting. If you make a deck that's like really good for Master of the Seven's Road, it makes the Seven's Road Magician in the deck very bad. Because if all your spellcasters are dark attribute, then Seven's Road only goes up to 2,400 attack points when it uses its effect.
Yes.
Interesting. Although I guess if you have Seven's Road Witch on your field, you probably summon Seven's Road Magician with Seven's Road Witch's effect. So it's not like the Seven's Road Magician was like a level 7 that you actually paid a bunch of cards for anyway. I guess that's fair. This card
That's
is
true.
easier to summon than the other ones because Seven's Road Witch brings Seven's Road Magician out. All right, and then as far as Luke, let's see, what do we got? Which one of these is like his main one? This one. Hyperstrike Dragon Dragiastar F, which I don't believe Luke has a line for some reason. Um, but it's a high dragon fusion of multi-strike Dragon Dragius and the Dragon, which is just another level 1 normal monster. Requirements: if all monsters in your graveyard are high dragons and or dragons, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. So thankfully, this card is straight up. You can only play this in dragons. Stop playing dragon casters. We need this card. um, so as long as you're only playing dragons and high dragons, then send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and then its effects are either um, this turn this card gains 900 attack points and can make up to 2 attacks on monsters, or this turn, this card can attack twice, and if it attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage. So you either get more attack points and you can destroy 2 monsters, or if you want to attack directly, then you don't get any attack points. But if you attack defense position monster, you have piercing. So that's really good. That's 2 separate ways to make Dragius's multi-attack thing work. Either you gain more attack points, so you have 3,900 attack points, and you can beat down over 2 monsters that are in attack position, or if you want to attack directly, you don't get any attack points, but you can attack a piercing monster, and then you get to attack directly afterwards. So it's interesting. It's a good mix of Dragius's effects, I think.
I really think that's a pretty interesting card because, like you said, it forces people into dragons. So, like, if you try to mix this with like spellcasters, it would not work.
That's right. It's also important to note that every monster that we've looked at has been level 9. So remember how I talked about how Royal Rebels Heavy Metal hit a level 8 or lower monster and destroyed it, and then Royal Rebel's Growl reduced a monster's attack points, but only if they were level 8 or below. So these fusion monsters, because they're level 9, are protected from a lot of destruction effects, a lot of other negative effects. Uh, so it is beneficial for you to play fusion monsters over like just a regular tribute summon deck because they get inherent protection from their high level.
I see now. I see now, and that's why it's also not listed on the level thing yet because we have got neither maximum nor fusions.
That's right. Now it is important to note this is a high dragon. This is not a dragon. So if you have this card out, you can't play, for example, like a card like Fire Dragon's Heat Lash that destroys a spell trap card if you control a dragon. It doesn't gain attack points from Mountain because it's not a dragon.
See now. I see now.
Same thing with Omega Psychic and Celestial Warrior. Um, and then spellcasters have Magical Knight as one of their fusions. So that's actually really interesting. You have a situation where you have these really powerful monsters that have very unique protections, but they are removed from the type synergy that their decks are so dependent on. It's
Yes,
kind of an interesting trade-off. All right,
pretty
well,
fair trade.
go ahead.
I think that's a pretty interesting trade because in place of losing that all that support, you gain a very powerful monster.
Mm-hmm. They are all very powerful monsters, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of them in the game. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me, Gold. It's 8 p.m. I have to go get something to eat. Um, so, uh, this is Serafi. I was thrilled to have you all with me.